The movie begins inside a car where Levon wakes up to his alarm. He quickly freshens up and gets ready for the day. Stepping out of the car, which is parked at a construction site, he meets his team. He encourages them, reminding them to work with honesty and dedication, and to do even better than yesterday. Levon shares a close bond with the Garcia family, who run the construction company. He considers them his own family. When he enters the office, Joe and Carla are discussing business with their 19-year-old daughter, Jenny. She asks her father for permission to go on a night out with her friends to celebrate passing her first semester with excellent grades. Joe doesn't see it as a big achievement, reminding her that Salien is just the first semester. Jenny insists that small achievements lead to bigger ones. When Carla also supports her, Joe finally agrees, making Jenny happy. As Levon steps out of the office, he notices a group of thugs mercilessly beating up a man. He calmly asks them to leave, but they ignore him and continue their assault. Finally, he picks up a bucket full of nails and throws it at them. Without wasting any time, he starts fighting back, taking them down one by one. More thugs arrive, but he skillfully defends himself and forces them to retreat. The man, amazed by what he just witnessed, asks him how he managed to do that. Without any hesitation, he simply tells him to get back to work. Right at that moment, Jenny arrives at the scene. She has witnessed everything. She assures Levon that she won't tell anyone about what she saw. In return, she asks Levon to protect her at all costs. Without hesitation, Levon promises to do so. Levon is a single father of his daughter Mary, which lives with her grandfather Ruth. When Levon goes to Ruth's house to pick up Mary, he finds that Ruth has arranged a party for Mary and her friends. Seeing this, Levon feels a bit angry because his relationship with Ruth isn't good, because Ruth blames Levon for Mary's mother's death. However, Levon takes Mary with him, as it was his designated day to spend time with her according to the court's ruling. Mary tells her father that she didn't eat anything at the party because she was waiting for him. She is very hungry, so they head to a restaurant to have a meal together. After that, Levon meets with his lawyers. They inform him that his case is quite weak. The issue is that Levon has post-traumatic stress disorder from his military missions, making him unfit to live with children, and Ruth is aggressively pushing the case forward. Ruth is investing a lot of money in powerful lawyers, making the legal battle even tougher for Levon. Levon reveals that Ruth believes his daughter, Mary's mother, died because of him. She had taken her own life because of depression while Levon was deployed overseas with the army. The lawyers warn Levon that Ruth has enough money to hire top-tier legal experts who could easily turn the case against him and keep him away from Mary. In response, Levon takes out a large sum of money from his bag and hands it to his lawyers, declaring that he will fight for his daughter. They mention that he has this money only because he has been living out of his car instead of renting a place. His lack of a permanent residence weakens his case even further. Hearing this, Levon starts feeling uneasy. On the other hand, Jenny goes to a club with some of her friends to party. However, they are being watched by a criminal couple, Viper and Artemis, who are looking for a girl to bring to their client. They secretly take videos and pictures of various girls and send them to their boss. They spot Jenny. As Jenny takes one of her friends, who is feeling sick, to the restroom, the criminals wait for the right moment. When she is on her way back, they grab her. They quickly cover her mouth, muffling her screams, and drag her toward the back exit. Without wasting time, they shove her into a van and drive away. On Monday morning, Levon arrives at work and notices the police leaving the office. This makes him a bit uneasy. As he steps inside, he sees that Carla and Joe look extremely worried. Joe tells Levon that Jenny has been missing since Friday night and there's no trace of her. He further explains that on Saturday they had organized a piano function because Jenny is an exceptional pianist. Her entire family had gathered at her house for the event, but she never showed up. Her cousin, who is a police captain, was also present. Although he filed a complaint, he admitted that the police wouldn't be able to do much in this case. Finally, Joe pleads with Levon for help. He knows that Levon is a former Green Beret and has the skills to track down dangerous people. However, Levon refuses. He insists that he has left that part of his life behind and can't do this anymore. Desperate, Carla steps in and offers Levon $50,000, promising an additional $20,000 to cover all expenses. On one condition, he must bring Jenny back. Levon hesitates at first. He is already fighting a legal battle for his own daughter and trying to do the right thing. But then, he remembers the promise he made to Jenny. That promise weighs on him, and in the end he agrees. After that, Levon visits his former fellow soldier, Gunny, who lives in the countryside. Gunny lost sight in one eye during a mission, but he is deeply grateful to Levon for saving his life back then. Levon discusses the entire situation with Gunny, seeking his advice on what to do next. However, Gunny, sensing Levon's determination, tells him that he isn't really here for permission. He has already made up his mind. No matter what, Levon is going to find Jenny. After that, Levon goes to the Garcia family's house where everyone is gathered, deeply worried about Jenny. The entire family is anxious, fearing the worst. Levon finally meets Carla, who tells him that Joe is in Jenny's room. When Levon enters, he finds Joe completely shattered. He is sitting there, watching videos of Jenny while drowning himself in alcohol. His pain is evident. Joe tells Levon that Jenny had secured admission to a prestigious university because of her music scholarship. She had a bright future ahead. Hearing this, Levon reflects on his own past. He recalls how, after his wife's suicide, he had no one left. During that dark time, it was Joe and Carla who supported him and his daughter. They were the only family he had left. With determination in his voice, he promises that no matter what happens, he will find Jenny. Before leaving, he turns to Joe and reminds him that, as the eldest in the house, it's his responsibility to stay strong for the rest of the family. Then Levon takes the bottle of alcohol from Joe's hand and walks out, ready to begin his mission. Levon begins his investigation, determined to track down Jenny. His first stop is the bar where she was last seen that night. As he enters, he spots the bartender, Johnny, who is secretly dealing drugs. Levon carefully observes him but doesn't intervene yet. Instead, he scans the area for any clues. His eyes then shift outside, where he notices something suspicious, that the security camera is broken. Following his instincts, Levon moves toward the back of the bar. As he inspects the area, his gaze falls on a pearl from Jenny's necklace lying on the ground. After that, Johnny closes the bar and heads home, unaware that Levon has placed a tracker on his car. Levon follows him discreetly and eventually breaks into Johnny's house. Inside, Johnny is indulging in some drugs. Levon confronts him, asking about Jenny, but Johnny pretends to know nothing. Levon, determined to get answers, drags him into the bathroom and starts dunking his face in water. As the pressure increases, Johnny finally begins to crack. He reveals that the organization he's involved with is highly dangerous. He warns Levon that if he exposes their name, they'll kill him. Levon, unwilling to back down, continues to apply pressure. Johnny's resolve starts to fade as Levon intensifies his tactics. Just then, two men, Johnny's associates, enter the scene. They are also involved in the organization, and Levon realizes how deep this situation goes. Without hesitation, Levon uses Johnny Amiti as a human shield, killing both men in the process, but in the struggle, Johnny also dies. As Levon stands over the bodies, he notices tattoos on their chests, which give him a chilling realization. These men are members of the Russian organization. Levon mutters to himself, knowing the kind of danger he's now entangled in. He grabs their money and quickly escapes, knowing he's now in far deeper than he ever anticipated. On the other side, Jenny is trapped in a small cell, feeling helpless. She tries to reassure herself, whispering that someone will come to save her, even though her hope is fading with every passing moment. Meanwhile, Levon, standing outside Johnny's apartment, observes everything carefully. To his surprise, a high-ranking member of the same organization arrives, a Bratva captain named Wollo. As Wollo surveys the scene, his men suggest that there may have been a fight between Johnny and the other two men, and that they could have killed each other. However, they notice something odd. There's no sign of a shotgun, but the victims were clearly killed by one. They also point out that money has gone missing, further raising suspicions. As Levon watches from the car, a body-cleaning vehicle arrives at the scene. The bodies are swiftly taken away, and Levon continues to observe from a distance. Finally, as the men get into their car and head towards their home, Levon continues to follow them, keeping a safe distance. When they reach their destination, Levon pulls up and stops his car outside their house. He carefully watches through a camera, observing the tense situation unfold. Inside the house, Wolo, overwhelmed with stress, slaps his wife. In response, she grabs a knife, threatening him. After a brief confrontation, she storms out of the house Titi, getting into the car and leaving. Seizing the opportunity, Levon quietly sneaks into the house. Once inside, he moves deeper into the house. He takes a moment to throw a jar of hot coffee right in Wolo's face, aiming to catch him off guard and take control of the situation. Wolo loses consciousness, but when he regains his senses, he finds himself tied to a chair with tape covering his mouth. Chair is tied to a rope while hanging over a pool, with Levon holding the other end. Levon calmly warns him that if he speaks out of turn, he will snap the rope, and his voice will be silenced forever. At first, Wolo tries to intimidate Levon, telling him he has no idea who he's messing with. He threatens that challenging them would result in 3 generations being destroyed. Levon, however, cuts him off, telling him he knows exactly who they are and not to waste any more time with empty threats. Levon then slaps Wolo hard across the face, saying it's the same slap Wolo had given his wife. He throws money at Wolo's face, making it clear that none of this is about money. He shows Wolo a picture of Jenny and demands to know where she is. Furious, Wolo curses in Russian, but Levon doesn't understand him. Finally, Levon delivers the final blow, throwing Wolo into the pool, ensuring he remains silent forever. After that, Levon translates what Wolo had said in Russian. He hears him mentioning a person named Dimi. The voice explains how everything happening is somehow tied to him, and that he is responsible for the entire ordeal. Meanwhile, the head of the organization, Simon, who turns out to be Wolo's brother, arrives on the scene. Watching the footage of Levon attacking his brother, Simon's anger grows. He then speaks about how his nephew, who has always been estranged from the family, has never aligned with their organization. He says that his nephew, always doing things his own way, has been a constant source of problems for the organization, often leading to their downfall. Furious, Simon orders his 2 sons, Danya and Venko, to track down Levon. He demands that they bring him back alive, questioning why Levon would take such drastic actions and what exactly he's planning. Meanwhile, Jenny, who is still locked up in captivity, finds herself confronted by Artemis. Jenny questions her, telling her that everything is a mistake and that they've picked the wrong girl. In response, Artemis slaps Jenny hard across the face, silencing her parent with a stern warning. She tells Jenny not to try to outsmart her. Then she gives her a burger to eat and leave. On the other hand, Levon contacts an old associate and asks him about Dimi. The associate informs him that Dimi cannot be approached directly. Instead, he suggests that Levon should go through a local drug lord named Dutch, who acts as a middleman. However, he also warns Levon that these men are extremely dangerous and getting involved with them could be a deadly mistake. But Levon doesn't care. Ignoring the warning completely, he simply thanks his associate and ends the call, fully determined to move forward with his plan, no matter the risks. Levon arrives at a bar on his bike, searching for Dutch. Once inside, he calmly orders a drink, blending in with the crowd. Meanwhile, Artemis watches him through the security cameras. She becomes suspicious, thinking Levon might be a cop. Using an X-ray scanner, she spots the gun he's carrying. To confirm her doubts, she sends one of her men to approach him. As the man confronts Levon, Levon quickly shifts his strategy. Instead of acting aggressively, he flashes a large amount of cash, pretending to be a buyer looking for drugs. The man, convinced by the act, decides to take Levon to his boss, Dutch. At first, Dutch doesn't give Levon any attention, questioning him sharply to see if he's a cop. Levon firmly denies it. However, Dutch still seems skeptical and warns Levon that some of his men would like to play with him first. Levon, unfazed, agrees, and within minutes he takes down all the men with ease. His fighting skills are exceptional, and they quickly realize he's no ordinary man. As things start escalating, Dutch steps in and orders everyone to stop. After observing Levon's skills and recognizing his style, Dutch finally realizes that Levon, like him, is a military man, a soldier who's tired of life and has now found himself in this dangerous world. Levon tells Dutch that he'll need 4 pounds of drugs per month, as his previous suppliers are not reachable. After negotiating, they They finalize the deal. Before leaving, Dutch tells Levon to meet him the next day at a restaurant, where his men will already be waiting with the drugs. The next day, Levon arrives at the restaurant where Dutch's men are already sitting. They take the money from him and, in return, hand him a burner phone. They tell him that they don't know anything about the drugs and that he'll have to find out everything through the phone. Levon, frustrated by their evasiveness, warns them that if things don't go as planned, he'll make them regret it. Later, as Levon sits in his car, the burner phone rings. It's Dutch. He tells Levon that the drugs are hidden beneath the seat of his car. Levon checks, and sure enough, the drugs are there. Dutch then explains that all future business will be conducted through the burner phone and that Levon should hold onto it and never throw it away. Levon agrees, knowing this is a dangerous game he's now fully involved in. At night, Artemis and Viper bring Jenny, locked inside a briefcase, to meet their client, Mr. Broward. He is ready to assault her while she remains unconscious. However, just as he is about to do something, Jenny suddenly wakes up. Without hesitation, she bites his cheek so hard that a large chunk of his flesh rips off. Broward screams in agony. Furious and in pain, he yells at them, demanding that they take her away immediately. Meanwhile, Levon, deep in thought and piecing together his investigation, receives a call from Dutch. Dutch informs him that the next day his boss, a powerful Russian, is willing to meet with him. However, Levon must come properly dressed in a suited, booted look. Levon agrees, knowing this is a critical step in his mission. Determined to play along, he visits a store, purchases a suit, and heads to the restaurant where Dutch's boss, Dimmy, has arranged to meet him. Levon goes through the security check and finally reaches a table where Dutch and Dimmy are already seated. They discuss business, and Dimmy asks Levon to hand over his driving license card for verification. Without hesitation, Levon gives them his card, allowing them to confirm his identity. Once verified, Levon makes the payment, takes the drugs, and leaves. However, Levon has no intention of following through. He flushes all the drugs down the toilet. Later, while browsing photos of Jenny's friends, he spots something alarming. Viper is visible in one of the pictures, secretly taking videos and photos. Realizing the connection, Levon grabs Johnny's phone and finds records of his conversations with Viper regarding the same matter. Using the phone's data, he tracks Viper's location and immediately heads there, ready to uncover the truth. Levon hides his car behind a tree, carefully observing the scene. However, inside the camera room, Artemis spots him using an X-ray scanner. Realizing his presence, she immediately sends her men after him. Levon notices them approaching and quickly jumps onto a nearby bike, speeding away, but he isn't alone for long. 2 cars filled with armed men chase after him. Among them are Danya and Venko, who also join the pursuit, determined to capture Levon at any cost. Levon keeps driving as the pursuing cars stay close behind. He finally enters the woods, but after a brief chase, his bike crashes into a police car. The cops immediately step out. However, the 2 officers are corrupt criminals on payroll. Soon, Danya and Venko arrive at the scene. They hand the officers a hefty bribe and tell them to forget everything they saw. Without hesitation, the cops accept the money and walk away as if nothing happened. Danya and Venko then throw Levon into their van, tying him up as they prepare to torture him. They remind him how they killed his uncle, taunting him, but Levin refuses to go down without a fight. A brutal struggle breaks out inside the moving car. The 3 men exchange heavy blows, fighting for control of a gun. Amidst the chaos, the gun goes off, and the bullet blasts through the driver's skull, splattering his brain all over the car. Losing control, the vehicle swerves violently. Using the moment to his advantage, Levon grabs the gun and quickly eliminates Danya and Venko with precise shots. Without wasting a second, he escapes the wrecked vehicle and pushes it into the river, making sure all evidence sinks beneath the water. Simon later visits the morgue, where he finds the bodies of his sons. The sight of their lifeless forms fills him with rage and sorrow. Standing over them, he vows that Levon's actions are now personal. He swears to hunt Levon down and take revenge, no matter the cost. With a final glance at his sons, he leaves. His mind set on one goal: to destroy Levon. The next day, Viper and Artemis meet with Dimmy. Dimmy, still furious, tells them that Jenny's actions have caused them a great deal of trouble. She's ruined a deal with a client who was set to give them 200 grand. The client ended up severely injured, requiring 39 stitches. Dimi, livid, warns them that this is no longer a simple matter. He tells them that they're in the business of pleasure, not surgery, and threatens that if anything happens again, he will kill both of them. He orders them to find a way to deal with Jenny and clear the mess, giving them no room for failure. Simon meets with the Brotherhood and tells them that they are facing a devil who is systematically killing their soldiers, posing a serious threat to all the organizations. One of the leaders at the meeting sends 2 of his men to assist Simon in finding Dimi, believing they will be helpful in tracking him down. Simon takes these 2 men and heads out in search of Dimi. After some time, Simon and his men reach Dimi's location. They open fire, causing chaos and scattering the public. Finally, Simon meets with Dimi and informs him that his father has been killed. Dimi, however, shows no concern and states that he has always been different and doesn't care about his father's death. But when Simon shows him a picture of Levon who killed his father, Dimi is visibly shocked and surprised. He recognizes him, revealing that he recently did business with him. Dimi is now deeply disturbed, which makes him more anxious. He hands over the picture of Levon's license to Simon. After that, Simon calmly declares that Levon is now hunting him down. After that, Simon's men track down everything about Levon from his driving license. They head to Ruth's house. Meanwhile, Levon is driving when he receives a call from the school informing him that Mary is waiting for someone to pick her up because no one has arrived yet. Levon is a bit surprised because Ruth is never late. He goes to pick up Mary and asks her if something is wrong at home or if Ruth is ill. Mary reassures him that nothing is wrong, but she mentions that Ruth has never been late before and isn't responding to her messages. Levon's suspicion grows. However, their light-hearted conversation takes a turn when Levon asks her to check her phone and realizes that Ruth and Mary share location information with each other. He notices that Ruth's location is still showing as home, and this raises his concerns even further. Levon quickly deduces that something is definitely wrong and immediately drives to Ruth's house. After arriving at Ruth's house, Levon sees that the house is engulfed in flames. He tells Mary to stay in the car, but she steps out. Levon insists that she stay put and don't come near the fire. As Levon enters the house, he finds Ruth severely injured but still alive. He quickly breaks a window, carries Ruth on his shoulder and takes him outside. Ruth, gasping for breath, explains that it was Russians who attacked him. Ruth realizes that this must be connected to Levon, and his suspicions are confirmed. He curses Levon and says that violence follows him. At that moment, Mary arrives and tells her grandfather that it was Levon who saved his life, and had Levon been even a little late, he would have died. Ruth, still weak, thanks Leon for saving his life. While paramedics and police arrive at the scene, Ruth tells Levon to take Mary away from the house because it's no longer safe for her. Levon agrees and he and Mary leave. Later, Levon goes to his friend Gunny's place and asks him to look after Mary for a few days, explaining that his work isn't finished and Mary could still be in danger. Gunny reassures Levon, saying that he will treat Mary like his own daughter and take care of her. He also tells Levon that he knows no one can stop him from getting Jenny back and he will do whatever it takes. After that, Gunny takes Levon to his storeroom, where he has gathered many rifles and other weapons. He tells Levon that he can take whatever he wants from there. The next morning, Levon loads his gear into his car and then meets his daughter Mary. He gives her his flag and tells her that he will return soon. And there's no need to worry, it will only be a few days before he comes back with her. Then Levon finally gets into his car and drives away. Artemis and Viper are instructed by Dimi to kill Jenny since her attacking Broward lost them business. Jenny manages to cause the car to crash in the woods, and she is able to cut her hands and feet free to run and escape. She runs until she sees a cop car, but unfortunately the cops are on their payroll. They bring Jenny back to the compound, where Viper and Artemis prepare to finish the job, until Broward calls them and wants to give Jenny a second chance, except he wants her to stay dirty and awake. On the other hand, Levon indeed shows up at Dimi's place and shoots Dimi through the hand so he can't use his gun. He then forces Dimi to join him and show him where Jenny is. Dimi guides Levon to the compound. He forces Dimi out at gunpoint, where Dimi says that he knows what he does is wrong. But someone else would be doing the job if not for him. Levon kicks him into a creek and shoots him dead. Just as Breward is brought by Artemis and Viper to see Jenny and prepares to rape her, the building is shaken up by Levon throwing a grenade. Levon proceeds to slaughter the goons, but Dutch and his biker gang head over to deal with Levon as well. Levon also kills Dutch, but honors him respectfully. After that, he hears Jenny's voice and finds her room. He shoots Broward dead and goes after Viper while Jenny locks her legs around Artemis's neck. Levon beats the shit out of Viper and destroys his neck using his elbow, while Jenny squeezes on Artemis's neck until it snaps. Levon frees her, but Simon along with his men arrive. Levon uses his resources to kill them before finding a motorcycle and escaping with Jenny. Simon witnesses them leaving and calls the Brotherhood, who tells Simon that the devil got what he came for and to leave him alone because nobody in the organization will help him because this is his personal matter. Simon screams to the sky in rage. Levon brings Jenny back to her house, where she has an emotional reunion with her entire family. Joe and Carla tearfully thank Levon for saving her. He then goes to Gunny's home to see Mary again. As he joins them for breakfast, Gunny tells Levon he is finally home.